Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of hot chocolate or tea if you want, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about a woman who demanded OP give her child a game and then calls the police. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I'll tell you a story of when one customer tried to rent from me, rental car agency, when he was on a do not rent list. Yes, this exists. I worked for a large rental car agency that is commonly associated with green, for those of you who have served time there. It was maybe 6 p.m. and we were busy, like 30 customers in line waiting to rent a car. This guy, his girlfriend and his kid walk up to the counter where I was writing tickets and contracts, and he seems like a typical Colorado traveler. He had a sideways flat-brimmed hat with pot leaves on it, a black monster shirt, a total Kyle. His GF and kid were pretty absent and not really present during this, so they're not that relevant. Anyway, I take his ID, and when I put in his license number, the program flags him as a do not rent customer. This happens pretty infrequently, and I know it could be embarrassing, so I just kind of put my head over the counter and whisper that he has a precious claim under his license that prevents him from renting. Note, the claim suggested he owes $1,800 to the company due to a previous claim. The message also provides a phone number for the customer to call in order to dispute or pay the fine for them to rent. Per policy, I can only tell him the number, but cannot remove him, myself, from the DNR list. Only corporate admins have this privilege. So I tell him the number and instruct him to call it so I can start processing other customers in line, mostly business customers. He freaks out and starts screaming at me. He says something around the lines of "I never freaking damaged that goddamn car, you freaking idiot." Now I don't have any visibility to see what he did or did not do, so I just say sorry, but I literally could not process his licenses without clearing the accusation. So I tell him that unfortunately I cannot do much for him until he calls the number, and usually, this is where they walk out or just call the number to resolve the issue. Not this guy. He literally throws his open bottle of water at me and gets my suit all wet. He then takes the glass of water from the customer next to him and chucks it into the crowd of people waiting to be helped. Now they're all pissed too. This isn't the first time I've had something thrown at me, but this is the first time I've ever had a customer throw something at other customers, so I call my manager to have him help. The dude just starts throwing literally everything he could grab in basically any direction, so we have to call the police. The police come and, by now, the guy in GF and kid is sitting in the back, despite us telling him to leave, on his phone. We direct the police to the dude and he starts trying to tell them that he has a right to have a car and that we are breaking the law for not giving him the car. Obviously there is no law saying that a private company is obligated to rent a car to any customers, and this definitely isn't the first time these police officers have been to our facility, so they just tell him he needs to go. ED refuses. The police end up having to cuff a guy, and on his way out he starts yelling threats at us like "I'll burn this crap house down with you all in it." Either way, we comped a bunch of actually nice customers a day off their rental because they got sprayed with water, and the dude will never rent from this company again. I guess he demonstrated exactly why he's on the DNR list. I'm guessing your company isn't the only one he's not allowed to rent from, and renting a car isn't the only service he's banned from using. Restrictions in my area have gotten pretty relaxed, so I decided to take my dog to the dog park for the first time in like 7 months. I was walking around, he would be following me, playing with other dogs if they got close. We were there for like 20 minutes when a guy and his daughter walked by, coming the way I was going with their dog. They stopped when our dog started playing. His daughter started petting my dog and talking to him, which I normally wouldn't have a problem with, but with the world the way it is, no one should be touching other people's dogs, but I wanted to be nice, so I let her play with him for a minute. I started walking, and my dog followed me. I thought that was it. When we crossed paths again, the dad said that his daughter really liked my dog. I said thanks. A lot of people do, then kept walking. He said she wanted him. We started having a back and forth argument about why he can't have my dog. Once people started watching, he gave up and started walking again. His daughter cried the entire rest of the time they were there. When I was ready to leave, I realized that his car was the first one by the exit. His daughter was waiting in the back seat, and he was standing outside holding scissors. It could have just been me overreacting, but I thought he was gonna try to cut my dog's leash and get him in his car, so when I went to leave I carried him. Looking at him, you'd probably guess my dog weighed around 60 or 70 pounds, but he's over 100, so if you were to pick him up, you'd be surprised at how heavy he is. When I walked out carrying him, I walked past his car and thought it was over. He came behind me and kicked the back of my knee as I was putting my dog in my car. I fell, and he tried to pick up my dog. Thankfully, because of how heavy he is, the stupid screwer dropped him in the middle of the parking lot. Don't worry, he's fine. I put him in my car and locked it before helping the guy up just to punch him in the face as hard as I could. Someone called the cops, and they arrived as his daughter was helping him to his car. He gave some crap story about how I was stealing his dog. I told the cop what happened along with about 20 witnesses, and they said I was free to go. Don't screw with people's dogs. This is crazy. How did he not get arrested with intent to harm? I would press charges and have punched him too. Probably would have broken my hand, but would have called it a win. Yes, I know this sounds so stupid and I completely agree. I am no contact with my parents, one of my sisters and one of my brothers, due to drama my dad caused a while back. So I was 396 weeks pregnant when I had to go to hospital for reduced movements of my baby. I had to be induced the following day, but was left in slow labor for 3 days in the hospital until they could break my waters due to labor and deliver ward being too busy. All the wards in the city were the same, so a transfer was impossible. This in on itself was incredibly stressful. I eventually had my waters broken and started off with gas and air. Lasted nearly an hour before I asked for epidural. Ladies who do it natural, kudos, you are strong as hell, but I don't cope with pain especially well. So with the epidural for the most part I felt nothing and slept through labor most of the day. There were instances where the tube moved and I felt pain in my left side. Eventually and at 9.5 centimeters I was rushed for an emergency C-section because little one's heart rate kept dropping. Fast forward to 2 days later. Me and the baby were still in hospital on antibiotics whilst we recovered, had attempt during labor, so they wanted to make sure it wasn't an illness, and my sister that I still talk to calls me angrily. Angry sister. Why didn't you tell mum that you were in labor? You could have died for all we knew. She's heartbroken that she wasn't there to see her first biological grandchild be born. Me. What are you talking about? Mum hasn't spoken to me in over a year. I tried when I was pregnant to talk with her and she wasn't having it, so why should I have told her? Because she is your mum. She wouldn't have been able to come anyway. COVID restrictions mean only my partner, was allowed. We can't even have any visitors apart from the birthing partner. Have you really just called me whilst I'm sat in hospital to have a go at me? Blame mum for not sorting this out sooner. Well, she didn't want to talk whilst you were pregnant because she didn't want to stress you out. So what, she wanted to wait till I had a newborn? I don't think so, too little too late. How did they find out anyway? Brother, who I still talk to, told dad, who told mum. Dad told me you were screaming for mum whilst you were in labor. I didn't scream once, I only cried when they told me I was having a C-section. No way, brother said that to dad, he's not that dramatic of a liar. Well, that's what dad said. We then moved on to lighter topics and she ended the call. I only still talk to her because even though she sticks up for my parents, she now respects my boundary that we don't talk about them or send them pictures of the baby. Although I have yet to send her any just in case. I guess I don't really trust her fully. I called my brother up afterwards and asked him what was said and told him what I heard. He got very cross and said, "You know I never said that." He was picking me up from work and going on at me over something stupid, so I told him you had the baby to show off that I knew what was happening to you. I know I shouldn't have done, but I lost my temper with him, and I'm sorry. But I never said you were screaming for mum. I said it would have been nice for her to have her mum there when she, had her first baby. To be honest, bro, she would have just stressed me out. You know what she's like. Yeah, I know. Well, he then told me that he thought you might have had her because him and mum had really bad stomach cramps the day you were in labor. Said it makes sense now that it was sympathy pains. Back right off, he never did. Do they know I barely felt anything with having the epidural? Swear they like to make things about themselves. I totally believe him. We have always had this sort of relationship where we are honest no matter what and talk it out rather than fall out. Opposite of what my family do, which is why we are so close. We realized my dad was trying to rile my mum up to start more drama, and I totally believe him. We have always had the sort of relationship where we are honest, no matter what, and talk it out rather than fall out. Opposite of what my family do, which is why we are so close. We realized my dad was trying to rile my mum up to start more drama, and he, after a while of him simmering on it, chooses not to contact them. He says if my dad contacts him he will address the lies my dad told and tell him to do one, but so far my dad has been smart enough to stay away. My sister has come to visit my baby and has tried convincing me that I'm a horrible person for keeping my baby away from them, but I stand by the no contact. Also, hence the boundaries in place with her, I won't be talked down to for my choices regarding my baby. They can't treat me with respect or even nicely, then I won't allow their toxic selves around my sweet and beautiful baby. I will protect her from that sort of stuff for as long as possible. So there you have it. My parents felt me give birth when I was in labor. Yes, they are crazy. So, does she feel it when you experience other bodily functions? Because that would be really awkward. And your sister is not your supporter. She is an idiot. Your job is to take care of your babe and yourself. Odd Halloween one for you. Featuring my misadventures playing Pokémon Go. Cast. Me, Meat Popsicle. Our antagonist, Matilda, because Karen is overused and she seemed like an odd duck officer. Self-explanatory. It is the popo two of them. So. I'm a coffee addict. I know, shocker. And as a coffee addict is like to do, this morning I went for a stroll down to the Golden Arches for a cup of joe. And because walking and doing nothing is boring, I decided to play some Pokémon Go while I walked to get that sweet cup of magical bean juice. The walk there was fairly uneventful. A couple of people just milling about doing their own thing. Get to McChicks and get my sweet ambrosia and step outside. Proceed to whip out my phone and take the long way home to hit a couple stops and enjoy my coffee. I'm walking up to my first, and what would turn out to be my last stop, and spy our would-be antagonist, and a semen she decided was a cute pet at the stop sitting at the heater that was in the gazebo built at the stop. I'm a few feet away and it happens. Cue Pokémon battle music. A wild shiny Misdreavus appears. To be fair, I had a lucky egg going. I load that screwer up with a berry and throw a great ball at it. I catch it and in my drowsy excitement, I shoot an exuberant freak yeah. This draws the ire of our antagonist. Hey, don't swear, there are children around. Reasonable reaction, I guess I accept I'm in the wrong there. I did know crotch goblin was near, yet I still swore. My bad. Kid was like 6 so meh. I'll just head out. Oh sorry miss, I got a little too excited, won't happen again. I'm just passing by so I'll be out of your hair soon. Good. What on earth would make you swear around a child? I'm playing Pokémon on my coffee run and just caught a shiny ghost I've been hunting. I got a little too excited about it and got carried away. My brain is still at the bottom of my cup. Well, you owe my son something for what you did give him that Pokémon now. I'm going to assume a bunch of you know how that game works with trading. But for non-nerds, here's a TLDR. I can't give her spawn a rare Pokémon without us playing together for way too long for a 28-year-old man to be chilling with a 6-year-old. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Excuse me, not going to happen. I'm not giving your son anything. Not just that I can't. What do you mean you're not giving my son anything? Exactly what I said. She finally mega evolves to a full-blown Karen. You will give my son that freaking Pokémon now, you piece of crap, or I will call the police and charge you with harassment. Me pointing at the camera in the park that watches the bums sleep in the gazebo. Go ahead. In true entitled fashion, she actually calls the police on me. I haven't even gotten within 5 meters of this woman, and I know the camera has seen it all. Including my happy dance at catching that little crap. Spoiler, I can't dance. The RCMP show up and of course Matilda instantly flies off the handle and starts spewing vitriol at them about how I'm basically Hitler. Seriously, she made me out to be a wandering harasser and serial assaultist in the same breath. I'm just leaning against a fence looking bored and annoyed, throwing balls at passing ghastly, sipping my coffee. Calm as can be despite my annoyance only because of the coffee. The officer approached me and asked me what happened. I was on my morning coffee run and played some Pokémon Go on the way there. I caught something I've been hunting for a while and got excited and swore within earshot of her and her son. I hold up my phone displaying my new trophy. Did you ever approach that woman? She's saying you tried to touch her son. I haven't even been within a few meters of her. Check the camera. I've been here listening to her screaming at me because I accidentally said freak near a child and would do as she demands and give her child a rare Pokémon by way of apology. Matilda hears the word camera and goes white. Evidently she missed me pointing right at it. She tried backpedaling really fast while the other officer is off checking the footage in his cruiser. He returns with his cuffs out. Not for me though, for her. They ask me if I wish to press charges. I told them yes. She was booked for filing a false police report, lying to an officer, and I'm not sure what else. I'll find out later. I'll update when I get more information. Total hypocrite. You got excited and swore, but when you refuse to meet her demands, she swears in earshot as well, but that's okay because it's her child. What a crap, really. Our local ski hill recently opened up again with strict COVID restrictions. It was really busy that day, and the hill was frantically trying to get everyone their rentals. Unfortunately, they were severely understaffed, so waiting for rentals became a 2-hour-long endeavor. So on Valentine's Day, my fiancé and I decide to go skiing. We get there at 10, he needs rentals, so we go get a ticket to buy them. We eat first. When we get in the line, there's a woman there in her late 30s, early 40s, who is yelling at this poor employee about how she needs skis for her son. Everyone was already tired of waiting, we were too. A lot of us exchanged glances, and an exhausted woman who was in front of me, who had 3 very bored toddlers, joked to me, saying she wondered about how much time she would have saved if she just started yelling at people for not getting what she wanted. The employee keeps telling her she can't skip a 2-hour line to get rentals when everyone else is waiting for the same thing. She pulls the "Can I speak to your manager" card, and the manager comes out a few seconds later. The guy lets her in, and she gets to skip the line. After that, a lot of people just left. We got in the line at 12, waited in line for 2 or 3 hours for one pair of boots and skis. I had my own, only skied for an hour, because our passes expired at 5. It was $430 when we left. I think I'm going to avoid skiing until COVID is gone. I would email the ski rental and complain about the manager to let this woman cut a 2-hour line. That is absolutely bonkers. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about a woman who assaulted a kid trying to grab his stuff. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.